You're watching former UN Ambassador, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley announcing she's refusing to drop out of the race for the White House ahead of her home state's primary on Saturday. Haley says she feels no need to so-called kiss the ring, that she has no fear of Trump's retribution. And she says dropping out would be the easy route and that she has never taken the easy route. I want to bring in ABC News political director Avery Harper and 538 Politics podcast host Galen Druk for more. Avery, Haley's saying, I'm staying in this because the country's future is on the line here. What do you make of these comments?
I mean, she is defiant. The fact is that she is running a very uphill battle to her home state's primary. These are voters who are very familiar with her. This is where her chances are the best to come out with a win. And she's running 30 points behind former President Trump. So it remains to be seen exactly what her path forward is. She's going to have to maintain the confidence of supporters, of donors who are going to power her campaign through Super Tuesday.
Galen, what do the numbers say about her prospects of potentially pulling off South Carolina?
You know, not great. And she acknowledged that, and she referred to it as the herd mentality, suggesting that she's not going to pull it off. But really, it's not just the herd mentality, it's the data. You know, Trump leads by more than 30 points there, and the average polling error in a primary race like this is maybe 8 to 10 points. So we're looking at an upset that is triple the average polling error in South Carolina. And again, that's where she's polling the best. So I think we can talk about maybe some of the reasons that she might stay in beyond winning the nomination in South Carolina and sort of through South Carolina and through Super Tuesday. But when it comes to the most straightforward path, it's really not great odds.
She seemed to try to downplay that idea, that there's something else that she's trying to get at here. She said, you know, some people say I'm trying to run for vice president. Obviously, that's not the case. Not entirely sure what she meant by that. And Avery, I'll let you expand. But she's also trying to shoot down the possibility that she is using this as a platform to line up a future run for president again. What did you make of that exchange, Avery?
I thought that was really interesting. You know, she still also has not ruled out endorsing former President Trump if she were to drop out. And so, yeah, there are a lot of folks who are trying to figure out exactly why she's still in this race. She is someone who really enjoys being the underdog in a race. You saw her there refer to her being David and former President Trump being Goliath. When she ran for governor in her state in the primary, she was running third in those primary polls until right before the primary election. It wasn't until just a couple of weeks before she scored a big endorsement from Sarah Palin and she was able to come away with the GOP nomination there. And so being the underdog is a place that she finds comfort in. It just remains to be seen if she's going to be able to pull off any sort of performance that's going to propel her campaign forward.
And Galen, in terms of those, you know, speculated side, you know, attempts or goals there, does it help her to stay in the race longer if she is hoping for a VP nod or if she is hoping for a future presidential run?
These are all good questions. And as she said, I think the door truly has closed on any VP opportunity. But we can think of maybe some of the other reasons that she would be staying in. One is maybe the most obvious that she's pointing to right now is to make a political point. This isn't totally out of the ordinary that we see candidates who are clearly going to lose the nomination ultimately stay in through, you know, the completion of primary voting. Think of Bernie Sanders in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. It was quite clear he was not going to win that nomination, but he wanted to make a political point about bringing the party further to the left on the economic issues that he cared about. Maybe Nikki Haley wants to continue making arguments, as we've heard so far, about America's role in the world, you know, particularly as pertains to Russia, China, Ukraine, things like that, as she's done so far. You know, there is also the sort of like dark horse category of reasons that she could be staying in, which is something like Trump is actually convicted in one of these cases, and there's some reckoning within the Republican Party about who should be the nominee. You know, Trump faces an unprecedented level of legal liability currently, and so in unprecedented times, maybe you keep your options open. And while, lastly, she is saying that she's not setting herself up for a future run, I mean, people will say whatever they want when they're campaigning, but we all know that ambitious politicians sometimes try a couple times before they win their party's nomination. I mean, look at Joe Biden, the president today.
Yeah.
Look at Hillary Clinton, for example. You know, even John McCain or Mitt Romney had to run a couple times before they won their party's nomination. And so, you know, she's expanding that donor base. She's expanding the email list, potentially for her political future. So those are just some ideas of what could be going on here.
Never met a bully.
Avery, we heard her say she's staying in until the American people close the door. It was interesting that you said the door's closed on Vice President, because it felt like it echoed her own words when she said, I'm staying in here until the American people close the door on me. What does that look like?
I mean, it's hard to interpret exactly what she means. She could mean until we have a, you know, definitive nominee. She could mean the...
Like until the delegate count
I mean, she
comes
could
in,
mean the convention. You know, we'd have to inquire about exactly what she means there. But we know that Super Tuesday is a state where we're going to see 16 states and a territory head to the polls. And so we could be waiting to see the outcome of those races. But the fact remains that former President Trump is just so far out ahead of her. It is hard to see how she comes out on top in some of these big races.
Galen, what are you watching for in South Carolina? We just heard Nikki Haley say early voting is already open. The big day is Saturday. What are you watching for?
Yeah, one, can Nikki Haley keep Trump under 60%? You know, that doesn't sound like a big win for Nikki Haley, and of course it isn't, but that's beating expectations, so to say. I also think we want to keep looking at what is Nikki Haley's coalition. So far, she has been winning amongst college-educated voters, and I'm curious to see if that continues. You know, maybe that's how she makes a pitch in some sort of like future political campaign. Or, you know, this is one really outside option that I didn't mention earlier, but the no-labels third-party campaigners, folks who are hoping to provide a different option that isn't a Republican or Democrat to Americans, they've said themselves they would love Nikki Haley, to consider Nikki Haley as an option. So, you know, is she winning amongst the sort of moderate or median voter that carries somebody in a presidential election, in a general election, if not in a Republican primary? That's what I'll be looking at.
All right. Interesting. Avery Harper, Galen Druk, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.